So round 3 results are all in. I've been having a look at the power rankings to see where each team sits. There's been a few movers and shakers this week. Please keep in mind that we're still that early in the season, that one result really does change the whole look of a team's kind of performance history. So a team which had no wins and then gets one goes from 0% to 50, and a team that had won one and now lost one goes from 100% down to 50. So there's a few which kind of jump or fall sharply. But like I said, hopefully as we go further along in the season, things will kind of settle down so the movements will be a bit more subtle. Right. No prizes for guessing who's in 15th. The Jaguares. So you played 3, you lost 3, you didn't score a try in your most recent outing. 15th. Yeah, so they've been hanging on to last since the first week when they were 4th out of 4 teams. 15th out of 15 last week, 15th out of 15 this week. So hanging on to that bottom spot. Next, giving them a run for their money, the Sunwolves. So the Sunwolves are slightly better in their first week when they got a bonus point loss to the Brumbies, but they got pretty hammered this weekend by the Rebels. That's 2 home losses to start the season. Not ideal. That will get you 14th in the power rankings. 2 losses to teams in your conference, and it was the weakest of the 3 conferences last year. So the exact strength of each team this season is kind of still playing itself out, but either way, it's not a great start. Down 3 spots are the Blues. So the Blues have played 2, lost 2 against 2 Kiwi rivals, 1 home, 1 away. Yeah, so pretty poor record so far. And that result against the Chiefs was a Chiefs team which was missing a lot of their top players, and it was at home. So the Blues are punished accordingly on the power rankings, so they slip down into the bottom row without a win. Next, in 12th, we have the Sharks. So the Sharks didn't lose this most recent round. They had a draw against the Waratahs, but a draw is not a win, and you don't get much credit for a draw. You don't get any kind of punishment for a draw, but you don't get any reward either. So what do these 4 teams all have in common? None of them have won a game yet. So this is your bottom row for the power rankings. No teams here with victories. Every other team has had a win. So kind of makes sense that everyone else is above them so far. Next. It started well, but kind of coming down. So the Stormers, they've dropped 3 spots. So their road trip has not gone well so far. A narrow loss to the Waratahs in the last minute last week, and a pretty hefty loss to the Crusaders this week just gone. So they got a record of 1 win and 2 losses. I mean, it's enough to be out the bottom row because you got that win. But if they go in and get another loss to the Highlanders next week, and the Sharks can pick up a result against the Sunwolves, expect the Stormers' fall to continue. Right, we will see. A mover in the other direction are the Reds. So they were in 14th last week, 2nd from the bottom after getting a pretty big score put on them by the Rebels. But they've turned things around. They got a victory. It wasn't pretty against the Brumbies, but a victory is a victory. And yeah, I'll give them credit for that. So kind of hard to see where the Brumbies are at, given that they didn't exactly put on a classic display against the Sunwolves, and they were kind of ground down by the Reds. So yeah, we will see, but it's an improvement for the Reds, so they're rewarded accordingly with a 4-spot jump. Next, speaking of the Brumbies, so the Brumbies are down 2 spots. So like I said, their shift is not huge because they were mid-table last week, having not really impressed that much with their win over the Sunwolves, but it was still a win. And they've kind of disappointed a bit with their loss to the Reds, so we've got to drop them down. So middling record 1-1. They get a chance to improve things next week against the Rebels, but yeah, so far not all that impressive, to be fair. Next, in one of the biggest moves for the power rankings, the Bulls are down from 3 last week. So last week, a big win against the Hurricanes, totally unexpected. Hurricanes, one of the favoured teams for the whole comp this year. It was great. And they've just been kind of dealt to by the Lions this weekend. So, yeah, their records really just evened out in a real hurry. So they've dropped a fair bit. They didn't look terrible in the game. They showed some good moments, but they still got more than 40 points put on them. So, yeah, the record is definitely, 1-0 is definitely different from 1-1. So we'll see how they go. They've got their road trip coming up now. See if they can pick up some improved results. Next, another team which has made a huge jump. So the Hurricanes, they are up from the bottom row, which is a huge shift last week. So like I said, they lost to the Bulls last week, punished them in the power rankings just because they lost to a team that they were supposed to beat pretty easily, a team that was poor last season, and they've bounced back with a good victory against the Jaguars. They really put a lot of points on them, got a winning bonus point, so impressive turnaround. It was kind of close between the Hurricanes and the Bulls. I've given the Hurricanes a little bit of credit for their loss coming away from home, whereas the Bulls have been beaten at home. So not a lot of difference between the two, to be honest. Next, in 6th, I've put the Chiefs, who are another big mover. They're up from 11th spot, so a big shift from them. Credit for them for beating the Blues. I know the Blues are not a great team, but the Chiefs have gone and done it with a very weakened side on their end. And their loss the previous week came against the Crusaders, so it was an expected loss. Again, it's a neck-and-neck one with the Hurricanes and the Chiefs. I've kind of given the Chiefs a little bit of credit for losing to the Crusaders where they were expected to, and the Hurricanes losing against the Bulls where they were kind of expected to win. So like I say, we'll adjust the strengths of the teams as we go throughout the season, but still last season's kind of form plays a little bit of a part in these rankings. So yeah, all these teams, these 3 had their results or their records, Brumbies as well, Reds as well, had their results all kind of even out. So there's been a bit of a compression of teams in the middle. Next, haven't had to do anything and they don't move. The Highlanders. It's not always going to be the case that the team on the bye doesn't move. I think often they'll go down, or if teams around them lose, they might actually go up. But yeah, the Highlanders had the bye, so they've still got a 1-0 record. Haven't been defeated, unlike every team below them. So, yep, that's where that is. Nothing really doing there. Next, Waratahs. So Waratahs are up 2 spots. Had a victory against the Stormers the other week, and then travelled to South Africa, played the Sharks, and managed to earn a draw. So, yeah, still unbeaten. Can't punish the team for being unbeaten, and all the teams below them have got a loss. So, kind of makes sense at this point that the Waratahs are above them in the power rankings. Next, and another increase in result. The Rebels. The Rebels are up 1 spot from 4th into 3rd, so they make their way into the top row for the first time this season. Yeah, they've had 2 really big victories. Really impressive. They've scored a lot of tries. 1 at home, 1 away, both against conference rivals. They've had a bit of travel to deal with, dealt with that fine. Yeah, impressive from what we've seen from Dave Vessel's men. He's put the team together pretty well. Not quite challenging for the 1st or 2nd spot yet, mainly because we need to see them do it outside the Aussie Conference as well. So we'll see what happens. I think their next game is still an Aussie Conference rival, so yeah, we'll see how they go. I mean, if they win and the other teams lose, they could still move up. But yeah, I think the true test of where they're at is going to be when they play some sterner opposition. Next, in second, still the Crusaders. No change there. So 2 pretty big, convincing victories against the Chiefs and the Stormers. They're looking hard to beat this year. I would imagine a top row spot in the power rankings is pretty much theirs to lose. Other teams are really going to have to push to get them off there. And likewise is true. Unmoving haven't lost onto this spot the whole time so far. All 3 rounds they have been in the number 1 spot to the Lions. They are 3 from 3. Kind of a slow start against the Sharks. Convincing win over the Jaguares, and then convincing road win against the Bulls, who, like I said, had a win the week before. So yeah, they're looking really tough to beat as well. 1 and 2. You feel like might just be a step, kind of a step above everyone else at the minute. All the rest is kind of a bit fluid. Also interesting that I've got the 2 kind of non-traditional New Zealand, Australia, South Africa teams in 14th and 15th. So not a ringing endorsement of the kind of expansion of Super Rugby at the minute, but like I said, only 3rd round, so things still very likely to change as the season goes on. Alright, so that's the power rankings for round 3. Drop me a comment and let me know why I'm wrong. Tell me who you think should have been where. If you think anyone else is 1 and 2 or anyone else is 15, I think you're probably crazy, but yeah, I guess everywhere else is kind of up for grabs, up for argument. Alright, yeah, like I said, let me know what you think, and I'll talk to you guys next time.